The photograph is dated October 1856. A cataloguer working at the Institut Français d'Architecture finds it inside a mislabeled box marked Construction Générale Divers. The image shows the interior of Chartres Cathedral. What draws her attention is not the architecture. It is the copper threading. Thin wires run along the vaulted ceiling. They connect to the bell tower. They terminate at metal plates embedded in the stone floor. The handwritten caption on the back of the photograph, written in fading ink, reads, "Installation complète, système de distribution." Distribution system. For what? The next document in the box is a requisition form. It requests 400 meters of copper wire, 12 brass junction points, and isolation matériaux. Date: March 1855. The signature has been carefully scraped away. Only the seal remains, the Diocese of Chartres. The cataloguer photographs both documents. Outside, rain begins. The archive closes at 5. She returns 3 times that week. Each visit reveals more contradictions. History remembers progress but forgets what it replaced. The official narrative of the development of electricity is well documented. Faraday's electromagnetic induction experiments in 1831. Morse's telegraph in 1844. Edison's direct current systems in 1882. Progress is linear, understood, complete. Yet the Chartres photograph predates Edison by 26 years. The copper wiring predates public electrical infrastructure by decades. The cathedral had no gas lighting. Illumination was provided by candles and oil lamps until 1887. So what was being distributed? The requisition form includes technical specifications. Wire gauge, caliber wheat, approximately 3.2 millimeters in diameter, heavier than telegraph wire. The insulation materials are specified as résine et tissu huilé, resin and oiled cloth. Standard electrical insulation for the period. But insulation against what current? In the margin of the requisition, someone has written in pencil, comme à Reims, comme à Amiens. Like at Reims, like at Amiens. The notation suggests a pattern, a system implemented across multiple cathedrals. Yet no technical manuals survive, no installation guides, no maintenance records beyond scattered requisition forms and unexplained photographs. Fog presses against the archive windows. The cataloguer, her name is Martine Beaufort, begins searching for similar documents. She finds them, not in the main catalog, in auxiliary storage, in boxes marked for disposal. Photographs from Reims, dated 1853. Blueprints from Amiens, dated 1858. All showing the same configuration. Copper wire, bell towers, floor plates, distribution systems. On January 17, 1854, the Bishop of Reims writes to the Archbishop of Paris. The letter is preserved in the Bibliothèque Nationale. It discusses the installation of the resonant conducting system according to traditional methods. It requests additional funding. It mentions maintaining the charge during silent hours. Silent hours. When the bells were not ringing. The request is approved. Funding is allocated. 3 months later, a follow-up letter notes, "Installation complète et fonctionnelle." Complete and functional. No further explanation. The Archbishop's reply is missing. The file contains only the bishop's letters. Official correspondence requires both sides. The replies were removed. Cold air seeps into the archive. Martine examines the second letter more closely. The paper shows pressure marks, impressions from a page that once lay on top of it. She photographs it under raking light. The impressions become visible, fragments of words. Charge accumulation verified. Resonance maintained. during effects observed in surrounding effects. What kind of effects? By 1855, the pattern extends beyond France. A technical journal published in Munich, Allgemeine Bauzeitung, includes an article titled Über die Installation von Glockenturmsystemen in großen Kirchen, on the installation of bell tower systems in large churches. The article is brief. It describes conducting pathways and grounding apparatus. It recommends copper for optimal transfer. Transfer of what? The article does not specify. The author is listed as K.H. Baumeister. No full name. No institutional affiliation. The journal ceased publication in 1861. The archive holding its records was destroyed in 1944. Only scattered copies survive in university libraries. Heat shimmers in the modern reading room. Martina has been researching for 6 months. Documents accumulate. Requisition forms, photographs, letters, technical specifications. All describe installations. None explain purpose. In September 1856, a maintenance log from Notre Dame de Paris records replacement of conducting wire in the north tower, corrosion observed. The wire had been installed in 1851. 5 years of use had corroded it. What use? The log does not say. It notes only that the replacement wire was of superior gauge and better isolated. Better isolated. Protection against current flow. Current from what source? The bells themselves begin to show peculiarities. Acoustic analyses conducted in 1972 on surviving mid-19th century cathedral bells reveal anomalies. A study by the Centre National de Recherche Scientifique notes unexpected electromagnetic signatures in the bronze alloy composition. The bells contain small amounts of iron, unusual for the period. Bronze typically consists of copper and tin. Iron additions were rare. Iron negatively affects acoustic properties. Bell founders avoided it. Yet analyses of bells cast between 1850 and 1870 show consistent iron content, 2 to 3% by weight. The iron forms specific patterns within the bronze structure, radial lines, emanating from the crown of the bell. The CNRS study concludes, the purpose of iron inclusion is unclear. It does not improve acoustic quality. It may relate to electromagnetic properties, though functionality is uncertain. May relate. Uncertain. The study is not continued. Funding expires. The lead researcher, whose notes survive in the CNRS archive, writes in a personal memorandum, "The bells were designed for something beyond sound. We lack the context to understand what. Snow falls on the archives of Cologne. A researcher named Klaus Berman examines construction records for the Dom, the city's cathedral. The records detail an 1857 renovation of the bell tower. New bells were cast. New conducting infrastructure was installed. The specifications match those from Chartres exactly. Copper wire, brass junctions, floor plates. But Cologne adds detail. The floor plates were positioned beneath congregation assembly points. Specific locations are marked on the blueprint. Measurements are precise. The plates form a geometric pattern, concentric rings. The diameter of the pattern, 63.4 meters. A specific number, not rounded, not approximate. Measured and implemented with precision. 63.4 meters. The wavelength of a 4.7 megahertz electromagnetic wave. But radio technology was not developed until the 1890s. How would architects in 1857 know to use that spacing? Berman photographs the blueprints. He measures the actual floor. The cathedral allows it for research purposes. The plates are still there. embedded in stone, covered by wooden flooring installed in 1923. Beneath the wood, the copper plates remain, still connected by wires running through the walls, connected to the bell tower. The bells have not rung since 1939. The mechanism was damaged during the war and never fully repaired. The bells hang silent, yet voltage meters placed near the floor plates show readings, small, inconsistent, but present. Where does the voltage come from? The cathedral has no electrical connection to those plates. The wiring is isolated, self-contained. The bells are silent, yet the meters show voltage. Dusk settles over the dome. Berman leaves the loggers running overnight. He returns in the morning. The data logger shows patterns. Voltage fluctuates, not randomly. In pulses, at regular intervals, every 12 minutes, small spikes, 0.3 volts, then decline, then another spike, 12-minute intervals. Berman checks the building. No electrical systems operate on 12-minute cycles, no automation. Nothing explains the pattern. He expands the measurement, places meters at multiple plate locations. All show the same pattern. Synchronized, 12-minute pulses. He measures for 3 weeks. The pattern holds. Consistent, unexplained. The phenomenon is noted in his research report submitted to the University of Bonn. The report concludes, the historical bell tower installation demonstrates residual electromagnetic activity of unknown origin. Further investigation recommended. The investigation is not funded. Gaslight flickers in the Bibliothèque Nationale. Martine finds correspondence between French bishops spanning 1850 to 1865. The letters discuss maintaining the systems and ensuring continuity during reconstruction. Several cathedrals underwent renovation during that period. The letters emphasize that the conducting infrastructure must be preserved and replicated exactly. Exactly. Not improved. Not modernized. Replicated. One letter, from the Bishop of Amiens to the Cardinal of Lyon, dated March 1859, is more explicit. The removal of the system during reconstruction of the south transept caused immediate cessation of effects. Workers reported feeling ill at ease. The atmosphere became oppressive. Upon reinstallation of the conducting pathways and resumption of bell operations, conditions normalized. I cannot explain the mechanism, but the correlation is undeniable. Effects, atmosphere, conditions. The language is vague, subjective, but the concern is clear. The system served a function. Its absence was noticed. The Cardinal's reply survives. It is cautious. Continue as established. Documentation should remain minimal. Knowledge passes through practice, not through written record. Knowledge passes through practice, not documentation. A deliberate choice. Leave no explanation. Why? Dust moves through lamplight. The archive is quiet. Martine photographs the letters. The handwriting is clear. The ink still legible. But the meaning remains obscured. The bishops knew something. They chose not to record it. In London, the Royal Institute of British Architects holds construction records for Westminster Abbey. Renovations in 1862 included installation of conducting apparatus in the bell tower according to continental methods. The phrase continental method suggests knowledge transfer from European cathedrals. The records note that an advisor from Reims supervised the installation. No name is given. Just advisor from Reims. The installation cost £340, a substantial sum for the period. The expenditure was approved without debate. Committee minutes show unanimous consent. No questions recorded. The installation was completed in November 1862. A maintenance log entry from December notes, "System operational. Effects observed as expected." As expected, implying prior knowledge of what those effects would be. Modern measurements taken at Westminster Abbey in 2007 during structural surveys detected similar electromagnetic readings to those found in Cologne, small voltages, pulsed patterns. Standard explanations classify them as ground currents or atmospheric effects, but the readings match Cologne's. Same magnitude, same interval, 12 minutes, the same system, operating identically. Across different countries, different buildings, installed in the 1850s and 1860s, rain falls on modern archives. Research continues, documents emerge, explanations do not. In 1863, a French engineer named Augustin Colombe published a small treatise, Observations sur les phénomènes électromagnétiques dans les structures architecturales anciennes. Observations on electromagnetic phenomena in ancient architectural structures. Only 3 copies are known to survive. One sits in the Bibliothèque de l'Arsenal in Paris. Colombe describes experiments. He measured electromagnetic fields in churches, large churches, cathedrals. He found that during bell ringing, fields intensified, not in the tower, but in the nave, where congregations gathered. His measurement showed field strengths sufficient to produce physiological sensation. He does not describe the sensations, only that subject reported awareness of presence and heightened attention. Colombe hypothesized that bells, when rung, created standing electromagnetic waves within the architectural volume. The copper conducting systems channeled and distributed these waves. The floor plates coupled the fields to the immediate environment. His measurements support this. Field strengths were highest directly above the floor plates. They diminished with distance. They varied with bell frequency. Lower tones, 64 Hz, 128 Hz, produced more pronounced effects. Colombe submitted his findings to the Académie des Sciences. They were reviewed. The committee notes, archived separately, express skepticism. While the measurements appear methodologically sound, the interpretation strains credibility. Bells produce acoustic energy. Electromagnetic effects, if present, are likely instrumental artifacts. Measurement errors. The findings were not formally published. Colombe's treatise was self-published, privately distributed. It received no attention. Colombe died in 1868. His papers were dispersed. Most were lost. The treatise survives only because 3 colleagues kept their copies. Fog obscures the streets of Paris. Martine holds Colombe's treatise carefully. The paper is brittle, the binding cracked, but the data tables are clear. Measurements, locations, dates, field strengths in units no longer standard, but convertible. She converts them. Colombe's flux units translate to modern microteslas. The values are small, but measurable, above background, statistically significant. Modern physics explains electromagnetic induction. Moving magnetic fields generate electric current, but Colombe's measurements show the inverse. Electric currents, if that is what the conducting systems carried, generate magnetic fields. Distributed fields, structured fields, shaped by architecture. The physics is sound. The question is, what was the source current? For spent cells, the systems operated without apparent power source, yet they operated. Measurements confirm it. Maintenance logs confirm it. Bishop's letters confirm it. So, where did the energy come from? Heat rises in the reading room. Air conditioning hums at 50 Hz, a modern frequency. different from the 64 Hz and 128 Hz of cathedral bells. Martine notes the difference. The hum is present, constant, unnoticed until attention is drawn to it. Were the cathedral system similar? Energy present but unnoticed. A different kind of background hum. Batteries existed in 1863, but they were weak, expensive, not powerful enough to produce the effects Colombe measured, not sustainable over time. Cathedral systems operated for decades. Batteries would require constant replacement. No records document battery maintenance. No requisitions for chemical supplies. No storage for spent cells. The systems operated without apparent power source, yet they operated. Measurements confirm it. Maintenance logs confirm it. Bishops' letters confirm it. So where did the energy come from? Heat rises in the reading room. Air conditioning hums at 50 Hz, a modern frequency, different from the 64 Hz and 128 Hz of cathedral bells. Martine notes the difference. The hum is present, constant, unnoticed until attention is drawn to it. Were the cathedral system similar? Energy present but unnoticed. A different kind of background hum. In 1859, a violent geomagnetic storm struck Earth, the Carrington event. Telegraph systems failed, wires sparked, operators were shocked, newspapers documented the chaos extensively, but no records mention effects on cathedrals, no damage to bell systems, no disruption reported. Yet if the systems were electromagnetic, the storm should have affected them. Induced currents, overloads, damage. Telegraph networks suffered extensively. Cathedral systems, if functioning as Colombe suggested, should have shown similar vulnerability. They did not. Or if they did, it went unrecorded. The absence of records is itself notable. Churches kept meticulous logs. Infrastructure damage was documented. Fire, storm, earthquake. All appear in diocesan archives. But the Carrington event, an electromagnetic catastrophe, produced no documented effects on cathedral electrical installations. Either the systems were not electromagnetic in the same sense as telegraph systems, or they were protected somehow, or records were suppressed. Snow continues to fall. Berman in Cologne, Martine in Paris. Researchers across Europe working independently. Fragments are found. The fragments align, but the picture remains incomplete. In 1997, an acoustic physicist named Dr. Sarah Chen published a study on cathedral acoustics. Her research focused on resonance, how sound behaves in large stone structures. She measured acoustic properties of 15 European cathedrals. Her equipment included electromagnetic field sensors. Standard practice to rule out interference. The sensors detected anomalies, small electromagnetic pulses, synchronized with acoustic resonances. When low-frequency sounds, 64 Hz test tones, were played, electromagnetic readings increased, not dramatically, but measurably, above baseline. Chen noted this in her raw data. She did not emphasize it in the published paper. The paper focused on acoustics. Electromagnetic effects were secondary, unexplained. She mentioned them briefly in an appendix. EM fluctuations observed during low-frequency acoustic testing. Origin unclear. Possibly piezoelectric effects in limestone or structural metal components. Possibly. Unclear. Academic caution. But the measurements were there. Documented. Repeatable. Chen's data shows that Chartres Cathedral produced the strongest electromagnetic response, stronger than any other site tested. The response peaked at 64 Hz and 128 Hz. The same frequencies Colombe measured in 1863. The same frequencies specified in bell-casting records from the 1850s. The same frequencies that appear again and again in every document related to these systems. 64 Hz is not arbitrary. It is 4 octaves below middle C. A fundamental frequency in Western music. Organs use it. Bells ring it. Human bodies resonate with it. The thoracic cavity has a natural frequency near 60 Hz. The human skull resonates at 64 to 70 Hz. Did architects know this? Did they design systems to interact with human physiology? If so, why? Gaslight burns low. The archive is about to close. Martine has one final document to examine. A ledger from the Diocese of Paris, dated 1866. It lists monthly maintenance of resonant conducting systems across 8 churches: Notre Dame, Sainte-Chapelle, Saint-Sulpice. Others. The ledger shows payments to a maître conducteur, a maintenance master. His name, Etienne Moreau. He received monthly stipends for inspection and adjustment of conducting pathways. Payments continue until 1870, then they stop. No explanation, just cessation. The Franco-Prussian War began in July 1870. The siege of Paris lasted from September 1870 to January 1871. Perhaps Moreau fled. Perhaps he died. The records do not say. After 1870, no maintenance payments mention the systems. Yet photographs from the 1880s show the copper wiring still in place, still connected, unmaintained but present. Martine searches for Moreau. Census records, death certificates, nothing. He appears in the ledger, then vanishes, as if he never existed beyond those payment entries, or as if his existence was deliberately erased. The archive locks its doors. Rain has turned to mist. City lights reflect on wet stone. Martine walks toward the metro. Her notes fill 3 notebooks. Her photographs number in the hundreds. But the central question remains unanswered. What were the systems for? Modern hypotheses exist: lightning grounding, early electrical experiments, misunderstood acoustic installations. Each has evidence. Each has problems. Lightning grounding does not require floor plates. It does not require precise geometric spacing. It does not explain electromagnetic measurements. Early electrical experiments do not explain widespread implementation across dozens of cathedrals. Acoustic installations do not require copper wiring and insulation materials. None of the explanations fit all the evidence. The systems were real. They were deliberately installed, carefully maintained, replicated across Europe. They showed consistent design principles. They produced measurable electromagnetic effects. They operated for decades, and then they stopped, or rather they were allowed to decay. After 1870, no new installations, no major maintenance. The systems gradually deteriorated. Wiring corroded. Connections failed. By 1900, most were non-functional, yet the physical infrastructure remains. Floor plates still embedded in stone. Wiring still running through walls. Bells still hanging in towers, all present, all silent, all forgotten. In 2015, a restoration project at Reims Cathedral uncovered copper wiring behind wall panels. The wiring matched the 1853 specifications exactly. The restoration team documented it, photographed it, then covered it again. The wiring was not removed, not restored, just documented and resealed. The documentation sits in the cathedral archive, available to researchers. Few request it. Today, cathedrals are museums, tourist sites, historical monuments. The bells ring on special occasions, automated mechanisms, electric motors. The sound is the same, the function is different. The old systems, the conducting pathways, the floor plates, the geometric spacing, remain beneath modern flooring, behind renovated walls, forgotten infrastructure from a forgotten purpose. Electromagnetic measurements continue to show anomalies, small voltages, pulsed patterns, 12-minute intervals in some locations, 8-minute intervals in others, variable but structured, present but unexplained. Modern engineers classify them as ground currents, atmospheric effects, natural phenomena. The measurements are noted, then dismissed, not important, not relevant to current function. Perhaps they are right. Perhaps the effects are merely remnants, echoes of systems that once served a purpose now obsolete. Perhaps the energy those systems transmitted, if they transmitted energy, is no longer needed, or no longer available, or perhaps the knowledge of what they did has simply been lost, passed through practice, never written, dying with the last maître conducteur who understood. Mist drifts through empty cathedrals at night. Bells hang silent. Copper wires corrode slowly. Floor plates sit beneath modern surfaces. The architecture remains. The knowledge does not. History remembers progress. The telegraph, electric light, radio, technologies that change civilization, technologies we understand. But before them, in the decades between 1850 and 1870, something else existed. Something deliberately installed, something carefully maintained, something that left physical evidence but no clear explanation. The evidence accumulates. The pattern emerges. The function remains unclear. If history is written by survivors, who erase the rest? The bells hang, copper intact, bronze patinated, waiting, still connected to conducting pathways that lead nowhere, still positioned above geometric floor patterns that serve no current purpose, still sized to ring at 64 Hz and 128 Hz, frequencies chosen for reasons now forgotten. Dust settles, light fades, the archive doors close, the systems remain, silent, waiting, unresolved. Yes, dear listeners, we have come to the end of this documentary. If you have any questions or suggestions, I look forward to them in the comments below. Thank you for listening.